Hey, this is Kit of Harlan's Media. Today I'm joined here with Tayyeb Rashid. He was here at the Veterans for Peace rally here in the city of Chicago. And so during the live stream, Tayyeb, essentially you were speaking about the cause of concern about racial hate crimes that are rising here in the United States. What are your concerns about it? And also, how can we combat it in a way where there can be a peaceful solution?
Well, what we've seen in the last 2 years is that the hate crimes, particularly hate crimes against the Muslim community in the United States, have spiked and increased at a rate of 584%. What we also know, according to a recent study by Georgia State University, is that those attacks where the perpetrator happens to be Muslim, the media gives it 450% more attention than similar attacks committed by people who belong to other groups or other faiths. And what that creates is a dynamic where the only exposure that people are getting to Muslim is in the context of terrorism, is in the context of negative context and negative perception. And so that creates a us versus them mentality. And the reality is that Muslims have been serving faithfully in the United States in various capacities, from the military to social service to lawyers, doctors, for hundreds of years. As a matter of fact, there were Muslims who served in the military in the United States during the Civil War, even. So we need to change that dialogue. We need to change that narrative about what Muslims are and what Muslims aren't. Combine that with the fact that there are certain Islamophobic groups within the United States who are very well funded, whose sole mission is to perpetuate lies and false propaganda about the Islamic teaching, creating a sense of fear and hatred about Muslims. And so what our mission is, and this is what I invite our fellow Americans, what our mission is to, first of all, condemn extremism in all its forms, whether it's Muslim, whether it's white supremacist Christians, whether it's other racist groups. Condemn it in all forms and recognize that all of us are human beings first, and return everyone to that idea of human dignity and compassion and brotherly love for one another. And then secondly, to give people the right information about the true Islamic teachings. And in that effort, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has launched several education campaigns. Our latest campaign is called True Islam. And what we're asking our fellow Americans, both Muslim and non-Muslim, is to go to trueislam.com for factual information about what the faith actually teaches, and look at those 11 points which are often used by extremists to recruit. And we debunk those 11 points and provide the correct information. And these are secular points, like, for example, Islam condemns terrorism in all forms. Islam teaches jihad of the self and of the pen. Islam advocates for equality, empowerment, and education of women. There's a total of 11 points. And then we ask that if you agree with these points, sign up and unite with us as a Muslim ally. And I think by educating ourselves, we kind of vaccinate ourselves against the negative rhetoric that is so prevalent in the media in our society today.
Speaking of the media, corporate media, establishment media, be it ABC, CBS, Fox News, you name it, they always continue to beat the drums of war. Right now, we're dealing with this crisis happening on the Korean Peninsula. There's also a few months earlier where the media was celebrating Trump's $1 billion deal that he did with Saudi Arabia and Qatar in regards to giving them weapons and other armaments. What is your concern about the role that the media is playing in regards to disinformation, as well as intensifying the call for war or military conflicts?
Yeah, I think what is happening is that the media kind of falls into the trap of trying to tell a story that has an agenda behind it versus reporting the facts. Facts are the United States now spends $600 billion a year on the war machine. Fact is that only 5% of that budget would wipe out world hunger. Fact is that in the last 2 decades, the wars that United States and the Western nations have launched against the Muslim world has resulted in more than 4 million deaths of innocent civilians. These facts are often brushed under the rug to tell a different story. Now, with the $350 billion deal to Saudi Arabia, as I mentioned, is one of the worst violators of human rights. And when those kind of weapons and that arms trade is done with regimes like that, undoubtedly that those weapons fall into the hands of terrorists. Fact is, just in 2016, more than $1 billion worth of weapons that were manufactured and produced in the United States fell into the hands of ISIS. And it is the U.S. weapons that ISIS is using to commit the genocide of the local population there. So we have a very strong and important role to play. And we are very much responsible, just as ISIS is, in contributing to the bloodshed and the injustice and the atrocities that are happening. And we need to recognize that, and it's the media's job to actually hold our leaders accountable. And unfortunately, the media starts telling the narrative that these corporations or these lobbyists want to tell, to fool the American public as well as the rest of the world, and we continue to fall for it. And that's why it's very important for us to actually look at the facts and be able to figure out what the story is and be able to understand it through our own lens of actually what is happening versus what the media says is happening.
All right, and final questions to all our viewers and subscribers who are watching this. Where can they learn more about your organization in case they want to help out, donate, and where can they also learn more about the Veterans for Peace?
Yeah, so there's several different websites that I can offer. One I already mentioned is trueislam.com. The other one that I will mention is the website for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is muslimsforpeace.org. muslimsforpeace.org. There they can get a lot of information about what our community is doing and the various different education campaigns that we have. They can certainly contribute to it. And what I would say is for those who are really interested in helping alleviate or provide relief to the suffering of humanity, our charitable arm of Humanity First, and particularly Humanity First USA. You can Google that and you can make a contribution to that. And then, of course, for Veterans for Peace, you can go to veteransforpeace.org and or is it .com? I can't remember. It's either .org or .com, veteransforpeace.org or .com, and learn more about the great mission for Veterans for Peace as well.
All right, Tayyeb Rashid, thank you so much for joining Hard Lens Media. And to all our viewers and subscribers, peace, and let's all do what we can to build a better future.